Hi, my name is Willie Valdez Jr., and I want to explain to you why you should build your own computer. First off, my story. The first computer my family ever owned was this old Vista model, and it had a bulky monitor, a really plain case. It was really worn out because we had it for about 10 years, and it had a slow startup time. Eventually, years later, I was able to build my own computer. As you can see in the image, we have a smaller screen. The case looks a lot better. I took off the side panel to kind of display the inside, and it took a while to get the necessary parts. But after a while, it changed me in a positive way, and I'm still planning on upgrading this computer. There's still more. I built my computer in high school, my first one, and it wasn't the same one in the second picture. The case was a lot smaller, and the parts weren't as big and beefy as they are now. And at the time, it was just a school project. I had 6 months to come up with something, and at the time, I only did it for the grade. I did a minor amount of research to do it, and I built the computer, which was around $600 to $700 at the time. Unknowingly, it became a newfound passion for me. Now, the positives versus the negatives. There are more positives than there are negatives that I believe. Lifehack.org and techguided.com, together they have a combined amount of 20 reasons why you should build your own computer. And some of the reasons are repeated at points, but I believe that they outweigh the negatives still. First off, the positives. You have a flexible design format. They are DIY builds, so you can customize it any way that you want. You can make it big or you can make it small. Quality retail hardware. If you're willing to spend the money, you can get whatever you want. You can trust yourself to choose the parts versus a pre-made build that can have lackluster parts. And versatile upgrades. Research can help you find the parts that you want at a cheap price, and they can be just as functional as an expensive one. Later down the line, you can always purchase those expensive parts, and it's also easier to upgrade versus buying a new computer if you're just going to replace an old part that has worn out or is broken down. Considering the positives, you're gaining a new skill by building your own computer. You're learning how to build it and take care of it, and you gain this new advantage over other people that don't know how to do it. And you're able to troubleshoot these problems that you come across. And you're also able to save money. You learn how to take responsibility. You save money, and because you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, so you're gonna have to save up a little bit before you can spend it right away. And then next, some of you are young. You're gonna need help from your parents, like I did. And you learn how to clean, maintain your computer so that you don't waste money having to buy new parts to replace them. And finally, the last positive is that building a computer is fun. You enjoy yourself, you feel more excited after getting each part, even if you're waiting every 2 weeks to get one part at a time. You learn through the challenges that you face. And finally, once you complete it, you feel a sense of accomplishment. Now, the negatives. It's time consuming, that's for sure. Sometimes it takes a while to gather each part. You may not have enough time to research them and then put them together. Not everyone has enough time in their daily life to do this. Next, it's costly. You're going to be spending again over hundreds of thousands of dollars. But that just depends on the kind of build that you're doing. You can either do a gaming or streaming PC. My PC is more on the gaming side. You're going to be spending money to replace those parts eventually. And it's not because they break down, it could also be because you're trying to upgrade it. And finally, it's difficult to do. You can be really hesitant to put these parts together, and if you're hesitant, it can break. If you're hesitant, you could break the parts, and if you break them, you're going to be set back. Your progress is going to get set back a couple weeks, maybe months. But there is a way to fix these negatives. On a website I found called letsbuild.com, they can do the job for you. You're building a computer that's based off the game that you want to play. So you choose the game you want to play first, and then you can choose your paying option. There's 3 options: the starter PC and then 2 more options, which if you choose those 2 options, you can customize the parts that you want. And if you do, and if you can't afford it, the pay right away, you can do a monthly installment plans with a firm as long as you qualify. This website, it basically fixed those negatives that was mentioned in the last slide. It's not so time consuming because you're getting all the parts are right there. You're just gonna have someone else to do it for you, so that gets rid of the difficulty as well. And the cost is not that bad as long as you save up for it. So, and you're learning, because you can research these parts that they're going to put together for you, and you can learn how to put it together using videos or guides online, and you're still learning through the process. In conclusion, there are still more positives than there are negatives. For me, I didn't think that I would get so attached to doing this, and years later, I found and gained a new skill and passion. You too can do it as long as you dedicate your time, do some research, save enough money, and you'll get this feeling of accomplishment that will be with you forever. Okay, some questions and answers. How long did it take for you to build your first computer? So my first computer was built in 2015, and it took me 4 to 6 months to do. I had to wait every 2 weeks because my parents were the one who were buying the parts, and they would buy it on like their paycheck day, and it would be like on a Friday, and the next week I'd get it. And I had to do this for the next 2 months, and then once I got everything together, it took me another 2 months because I was still learning, and it was a slow process of putting the parts together. What did you struggle the most with building your computer? That's a really great question. The thing I struggle the most with is the motherboard, because there's so many small pins and a lot of small input plugs that you have to put together, and if you put it in the wrong one, you could mess up entirely. But as long as you follow the guides that are and the manuals that are given to you, you're able to do it yourself. Next question: what do you prefer more, Intel or AMD builds? That is another great question. I have a AMD build for my computer. I like it more because it's a more cheaper alternative versus an Intel build. The Intel builds, they are a little more expensive than they are compared to the AMD builds, but I still feel like the AMD builds work just as fine. Next question: how much did you spend for your computer on the second slide? So that computer is built off my first computer. The first one I said I built it around 2015, and that one was around $600 to $700. This one, it got up to about more or less around $2,000, but that took me about 5 years to get to that point. Yeah, next question. Why do you want to maintain and clean your computer? So that's another great question, because maintaining and cleaning your computer is a viable and very important part of taking care of the computer in a whole. For example, if you have a fan that has a lot of dust building up, and if you don't take care of it, it's going to slow down, and then it's not going to cool your parts, the hardware, enough to the point where it's going to overheat. Say the video card or the processor, they're going to overheat, and it's going to worsen your computer's life, and you're going to have to then replace those parts, and you don't want to replace those parts after having them for like a few months. So you want to make sure you're always maintaining and cleaning your computer. Well, I hope you were able to learn how building a computer is better than buying a pre-made one, and that you can find a new passion in doing it. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.